Hello, my name is Kestrel, and for today's speech I will be discussing crafting a violin. Music is one of mankind's greatest inventions. Though mankind didn't technically invent music, we were so awed by the beauty and from the sounds the animals were making that we strove to try to recreate this. And as we were striving, we created the violin. Now, in the book Musical Instruments Through the Ages, edited by Anthony Baines on page 103, he says how when we were trying to create an instrument, our greatest triumph was the simple beauty, the violin. Now, as you can see, this is quite a simple piece of wood, but this simple piece of wood was made by Stradivarius, and the music that it makes actually is worth millions. But how was this simple beauty made? Well, in the book Secrets of Stradivarius by Sacconi, it says that Stradivarius was very particular on the type of wood that he chose to make the belly and the back. The belly is the top part of the instrument. The belly was often made with spruce, a very soft wood that when shaped and carved properly resonated beautifully. And the back was often made of maple, sometimes poplar or willow, but maple most often was used because of its beautiful grain work. Now, the front and the back tended to be made with two pieces of wood. For the front, you wanted the spruce grains to line up perpendicular for it to have a very powerful sound, but not always. There are some instruments that the belly is made with just one singular slab of spruce. Once you're finished carving and shaping the belly and the back, you're going to want to cut the F-holes. The positioning of the F-holes is very important for the sound of the instrument. Once you find the proper position, you then will bore holes, called the eyes, here and here. Once the eyes are bored, you will take a small knife and carve the shape of the F-hole connecting the two eyes together in the shape of your choosing. Then, after that, you will create the bass bar. Now, French Impressionist by J.P. Viotti says how in the late 18th century modifications were made to improve the sound of the violin, and some of the modifications were done to the bass bar and the F-holes. Now, when carving the bass bar, it is often also made out of spruce and is placed just off center of the belly of the violin, closer to the right F-hole. Now, once this is finished, you are now going to close the instrument. When closing the instrument, most makers will use a glue from hide. Now, we use a hide glue because of its strength and its flexibility. You do not want to use a glue that will constrict the instrument, causing it to crack when it expands and contracts through humidity and weather changes. Once the instrument has set properly and the glue is completely dried, you are then going to add the purfling. Purfling is a line of black and white wood that goes around the circumference of the instrument. So on cheaper instruments, this purfling is often painted. However, on more expensive, it is carved and inlaid in the instrument. Once this is finished, you are then going to carve the head of the instrument, or the scroll. It is often called a scroll because it is often done in that design. When the scroll is finished, you are then going to make a few rough cuts and then carve the peg box right here. In Peg Hole Placement Made Easy by William Scott, it shows you how to properly measure and drill the peg holes so that you can fit the pegs properly. Once that is finished, you are then going to attach the fingerboard to the neck. The fingerboard, when properly made, is made of pure ebony. However, as you can see right here in this slide, it is not made of pure ebony, but just a strip of ebony and then some regular wood underneath. This would often be stained black to keep the beauty of the instrument. Once after you've finished sanding the ebony to the proper tapering, you are then going to add the tailpiece. Now most makers do not make the tailpiece, they will buy it, and this is here to hold the strings in place and to help with fine-tuning the instrument. Once the tailpiece is in place, you're going to need something to hold up the strings, and this is the bridge. The bridge is there to place each string in their proper positioning to cause it to be able to make the proper sound and notes that you want to achieve. Sometimes makers can get a little fancy and can create interesting bridges, however, they're not as structurally stable, so most makers stick with the proper version. Once the bridge is finished, you are going to then take off the strings and going to varnish the whole instrument. In Varnishes and Very Curious Secrets, Cremota 1747, edited by Garoldi, there are many different recipes for making varnishes, but it's very easy to make a cheap one by melting resin and adding turpentine essence, which will give it this very shiny sheen that most violinists want on their instrument. So, after many hard weeks of making this instrument, you will then have this beautiful sound. Thank you for watching.